the mass of the Confederate Army need to be at day dawn on the morning of September the 20th?
In that hole.
Up here. Yep. What would it have taken to get it here?
Mass movement of troops this way.
Which requires?
Time.
And also requires? Coordination, communication.
Yeah, they don't have that.
And they don't have that.
Cooperation.
Yep. Yep.
Can you comment on any original trees or trees left in the time period in the park?
They're just a handful today. I think that might have been here. In the 30 years that I've been associated with this place, I've seen the number of trees that are discovered with fragments in them taper off to nothing now. So, but 30 years ago when I first worked here, there were regularly trees with fragments in them were discovered.
But it is possible there's several trees left in the time period. I see some with trunks like,
Yeah, that size is not necessarily an indicator of age, so size just is an indicator of good nutrients in that area. All right, I bring you to this point and face you in this direction for a particular purpose. As Rosecrans and Thomas met on the top of the hill where the McDonald farmstead is today and looked around at all this big open ground here in the area of the McDonald farm, they begin to refine an idea how better to protect the end of the line. Now ideally, they'd want to extend the Union line on off to the north. But what they believe is most practical at that moment is to at least extend the line further to the west. If they cannot possess any more of this ground to the north, they can at least do what? Cover it by fire. But what are they going to use to do that? For the last 2 days, George Thomas's 2nd Division, commanded by James Negley, has been detached from George Thomas. But now on the morning of the 20th, George Thomas requests the return of Negley's division, and Rosecrans writes out an order directing that. But it's not as if Negley can immediately march to the north. He is at that time on the line. He is now on the right flank of Brannan's division, and he will have to be relieved. But the orders to relieve Negley go out and are sent south to Alexander McCook, the commander of the right half of the Union front line, to Negley himself and others relative to relieving Negley's division so it can come north. After discussing the situation here with Thomas, Rosecrans and his command group rode south along the line, inspecting the line again as he worked his way towards the southern end of the line. He rides down into the sector where Negley's division is located and finds Negley's division not yet moving. No relief has come up for Negley. Now remember these two things, because they come into play later on. What has Rosecrans now already done on the morning of September the 20th? Troop the line from south to north. And now what? From north to south. What should this be giving him? An idea of where troops are on the line. The orders for relief of Negley's division have gone out, but have not been immediately executed. The most immediate thing that can be done is that John Beatty's brigade, the reserve brigade of Negley's division, can be sent northward. And Negley's division comes north. And as he arrives in the Kelly Field, he is met by Thomas himself and a Thomas staff officer. And Thomas says, march into the woods to the north of the Kelly Field and deploy your brigade across the Lafayette Road in a line that runs east to west and faces north, just inside the woods, overlooking the big open fields of the McDonald farm, overlooking to where the main stem of the McFarland Gap Road ran to the west. And Beatty will bring his 4 regiments up, deploy them across the road. The markers and tablets right down there are for his brigade. His battery of artillery, the Chicago-based Bridges, Illinois battery, deploys along that line as well. And just as Beatty got his line deployed, essentially on the left of Dodge's brigade, one of Thomas's staff officers, Captain Gall, rides up and says, "General Beatty, you're in the wrong place. This is not where Thomas wanted you." Beatty says, "No, Captain Gall, this is exactly where Thomas wanted me. This is, he told me this himself." Gall said, "No, you misunderstood, General Thomas. Remember our discussion yesterday. When an officer named you as a member of his staff, he colors you with some of his authority. Captain Gall might as well have been Major General George Thomas as far as John Beatty was concerned." And Beatty, after arguing the point, has to concede. And what Captain Gall tells him he must do is advance and essentially conduct a giant right wheel and move up onto the crest of the low rise in the Cedar Glade to the north of where Starkweather, Scribner, and King's brigades are, and cover the entire front that Negley's division will be expected to cover, including the Reeds Bridge Road coming in from the east. Beatty knows this is an impossibility with his small brigade, but Gall has ordered it, and Beatty must execute. And Beatty begins to redeploy. The two Indiana regiments march northward and then begin to wheel to the northeast to head eastward. In this area, the 104th Illinois marches north and starts wheeling across the big field on the other side of the road. That is their monument in the field there. And the 15th Kentucky on the right begins to wheel to the northeast through the woods in that area. Because they will be split and separated, Beatty orders Bridges, Illinois Battery to move forward. And he positions 3 of the guns here, and he moves 3 of the guns up just beyond the Farling Gap Road to be able to fire into the gaps or intervals between the 2 Indiana regiments up near the Reeds Bridge Road and the 104th Illinois, and the interval between the 104th Illinois and the 15th Kentucky. Thomas ordered one other thing. On an open rise of ground to the west and slightly south of us, just to the east of a cluster of log buildings occupied by the Snodgrass family, he orders artillery. Frank Smith's Battery I, 4th U.S. Artillery will arrive there, and those guns are oriented to fire to the north. Remember earlier I said there was open ground that connected the Snodgrass, Mullis, and McDonald farms at the time. And from that open spur to the east of the Snodgrass cabin, which we're familiar with and we stand on looking south towards the Confederate attacks in the afternoon, but on that open spur this morning, Frank Smith's battery takes position, but is not pointed south. It is pointed to the north to fire and cover this ground in front of where Thomas had originally intended Beatty and Negley's division to be located. So where is the Union line? We often have a tendency to look at it as it finally develops when the attack begins, taking on roughly the shape of a question mark. No, I'm not trying to rival the descriptions of that engagement outside the small South Central Pennsylvania town where the Union line is described as something else. But the question mark formation serves as a reminder or a mental image to you about the Union line, curved around the Kelly Field. And if Thomas had had his way, it would be where also? Further to the west. Captain Gall has misinterpreted what Thomas has wanted, and now Beatty's brigade is being spread further to the north. But this is the state of the Union line when finally the Confederates attack. More than 3 hours after the sun, or after daylight, at morning of September the 20th.
Where was that brigade told to move from what position to what position?
Well, Beatty is not even shown on this map, but because this is just the visiting level stuff. But Beatty would have been right in here, and he's being ordered up onto this area here. Okay. Well, I have kept you too long, but many of us are going on the next walk anyway, so we'll walk back, get more of our folks, and back this way.